You wonder if Oregon coach Dan Lanning got up in front of his team and said, you know what? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not effing leaving. He's not leaving. Dan Lanning staying at Oregon. The Alabama job has opened. Earlier, the Texas A&M job opened. But Dan Lanning staying at Oregon. Now, we don't exactly know what this means yet. We'll probably get more clarity on that once Alabama makes a hire. Was Dan Lanning a candidate for Alabama and said no? Was Dan Lanning not a candidate for Alabama? We will find out that later on, probably. But if you're an Oregon fan, I don't think you care about that because you do have one of the most desirable head coaches in the country. When jobs like this open, he will be mentioned, but he says he's not leaving. This matters so much to Oregon because Oregon was used as a stepping stone a couple of times recently. Willie Taggart, 1 year at Oregon, then he's off to Florida State. Mario Cristobal follows him up. He's there a short time. Then he's off to Miami. Dan Lanning will get connected to jobs. But right now, he's staying at Oregon. And if you look at it going into the future, there are not a lot of reasons to leave. I remember when the Texas A&M job opened, I said there's a 2-question test that you should ask if you're a coach and a job opens to decide if you're going to take another job. I did say if Alabama is one of the jobs, maybe you don't use the 2-question test. But neither here nor there. The 2-question test is this. Is my school in the Big Ten of the SEC? Well, as of July 1st, the answer to that for Oregon is yes, they're in the Big Ten. The next question, can I regularly finish in the top 3 of my league? The answer for that for Oregon is yes. Oregon absolutely can finish in the top 3 of the Big Ten most years. That means Oregon would be in the 12-team playoff. That means Oregon would be competing for the college football playoff national title. That means you don't really need to go anywhere else. For Dan Lanning, it wasn't a geography thing. Remember, he's from Kansas City. It's not like he's from Tuscaloosa. Now, I know there's a report that he was in Tuscaloosa. I have no verification of that, and I don't think anybody else does either. But that's the fun of college football coaching search season is you get wacky stuff like that. But Dan Lanning very quickly coming out and saying that he's not leaving. Now, Oregon has put up some safeguards in his contract to keep him there. He's got a $20 million buyout if a school wants to hire him, and that's fairly prohibitive even for a place like Alabama. Now, I wondered with Alabama, because they weren't paying a buyout. Nick Saban retired. Would that matter as much? Texas A&M, they were already paying $76-point-something million to fire Jimbo Fisher. Tacking on another $20 million buyout would have been pretty nasty. But this is a different story. But Dan Lanning, still at Oregon, recruiting well, transfer portaling well, young. He's a guy who could be there for a long, long time. And I think that's what Oregon fans want. They want somebody who will be like Mike Bellotti, who will be there and build up the program and take it to new heights and want to be there and want to stay there. And after what they've experienced with Willie Taggart and Mario Cristobal, I don't blame them. It's a horrible feeling when you think your school is just a stepping stone, that whoever comes through is just looking for the next thing. We got Dan Lanning right now for one more year at least. And look, if he's not going to Texas A&M, if he's not going to Alabama, there's a good chance he's probably not going anywhere. Oregon passes that 2-question test. They're in the Big Ten. They can finish in the top 3 of the Big Ten pretty regularly. He can compete for national titles there. It looks like that's what he intends to do.